Hello everybody, hello everybody, and welcome back to another true crime episode. Today, be prepared, because this is a crazy one. It's a little bit gory, it's intense, it's a lot, so if you're not interested in that, this is your forewarning. This is intense. This is an intense one. But first, before we begin, I want to say a huge thank you to all of my new subscribers and my returning subscribers. Thank you guys so much and welcome to the family. I can't believe it. You guys are amazing. I love all the comments that you guys have been leaving, so thank you so much. I respond to all of them. So thank you, it means the world to me. You guys rock, you're the best, you're amazing, so thank you. I know I said it last time, but I'm gonna say it again, and I'm gonna keep saying it every episode in case you missed it last time. You heard it here first from your girl, okay? Okay, so let's get into it. Buckle up, okay? Whew. I'm just gonna say that. This case started like a lot of tragic stories do, with a love that felt too good to be true. Jodi Arias was a beautiful, soft-spoken, and eager to please. Travis Alexander was successful, charismatic, and looking for something real. Their romance played out in texts, photos, and secret trips until it all came crashing down in a brutal, unthinkable act. On June 9th of 2008, Travis was found murdered in his Arizona home, shot in the face, stabbed nearly 30 times, and left to die in his own shower. At first, no one suspected Jodie, but when the pieces started falling into place, a picture emerged, one more disturbing than anyone could have imagined. This is the case of obsession, betrayal, and the lies we tell to keep love alive. This is the Jodi Arias case. On June 9th of 2008 in Mesa, Arizona, 28-year-old Mimi Hall is excited about going to Cancun, Mexico. But the guy she's supposed to be going with is nowhere to be found. Mimi Hall had met Travis Alexander, who was 30 years old at the time, at a Mormon church event in the previous year. They were headed to Cancun, Mexico for a work event, but she hadn't heard from him in days, so she started to get worried. She reached out to friends and family who also were like, yeah, no, we also haven't heard from him. So for him to go dark for 5 days was super unusual and concerning for everyone around him. Mimi goes to his house. She knocks on the door. There's no answer. She calls her friend, and so her friend and her friend's boyfriend come by, and they're also banging on the door. They're knocking, they're yelling for Travis. Nothing. Nobody's coming to the door. It's like crickets in there. But they do see the dog inside. They're like peeking through the window, and they're like, okay, well, we see Travis's dog inside, but like, where is Travis? Like, what is going on? All the doors were locked. They kept knocking. They were banging. They were like, okay, this is getting really weird. Like, we're worried. So they end up calling another friend, and this friend gave them the code to the garage. So they all go in through the garage, and they get into the house, right? But before they get in, they're like, what is that smell? They smell this horrible odor. Now, if we know from all the other crime videos that I've done, this is a common occurrence. The smell. Yeah, well, they were smelling something. So at first they were like, okay, maybe it's the dog. Maybe the dog just smells like poo or something. Like, I'm kidding. It obviously doesn't smell like poo. But they were like, okay, well, maybe it's the dog. Maybe the dog stinks. So they end up going upstairs though, and they go to Travis's room, but the door is locked to Travis's room. So they're banging on the door, they're screaming, Travis Travis's name. No answer. Nobody's answering, right? They end up going to Travis's roommate's room. Travis's roommate was named Zach Billings, and the roommate opens the door. He's like, what? And he was like, oh, I was watching a movie, so I didn't hear you guys. It's like, how did you not hear the banging on the door, the screaming in the room basically next door? Like, how did you not? You didn't hear the garage open? You didn't hear, like, what? Were you using a noise canceling headset? If so, give me that, please, because I want that good of a noise canceling headset. Oh yeah, so Zach was like, no, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the doorbell. I didn't hear you guys. Like, I didn't hear anything, basically. And so they're like, well, where's Travis? We're looking for him. He's like, oh, didn't he go to Cancun? They're like, no, he didn't go to Cancun. That's tomorrow. That's why we're looking for him, because, like, he needs to come to Cancun tomorrow. There was another roommate named Enrique Cortez, and so Zach and Enrique both had not seen Travis in almost a week. So Zach gets a spare key that he had in his room for Travis's bedroom, and they open Travis's bedroom door. When they open it, all they see is a blood everywhere. When I tell you everywhere, I mean everywhere. Like, literally, like, I cannot explain. If you guys want to look up the pictures, there are pictures. There's a docuseries. Like, there is it all. If you want to see it, it is gory. Blood everywhere. Floor, walls. Like when I tell you, I literally mean everywhere. Everywhere. We see, though, that there was a trail of blood going into the bathroom of Travis's room. So the roommate Zach goes through and follows the trail of blood and finds that there is a pool of blood, goes over the pool of blood, and sees Travis in the shower. So immediately they call 911. They're freaking out. They report him dead. They're like, oh my gosh. What? Dave Hall, who is a friend and business partner of Travis, got a text around midnight saying Travis is dead. He called. He's like, come on, is that a sick joke? Like, be so serious. Like, don't play with me right now. This isn't funny. They're like, no, he is literally dead. Dave had said that it had bothered him so much to know what happened to him, because he was like, well, he wasn't struggling mentally. There wasn't a car crash. He was healthy. Like, what happened? Like, how did this happen? How he was in his own house? Like, what? Who did this? How did they do it? Why did they do it? Like, he had all the questions. He was like, what the heck? Just before midnight, the Mesa police detectives arrive, and what struck them as surprising about the crime scene was that the house was really clean. They're like, the house is super clean and orderly, like, kind of weird. When they went to the bathroom, they did see that the body was stuffed inside the shower. It was one of those showers with, like, the doors, you know how they're kind of smaller. He was, like, stuffed in that. From first glance, they couldn't originally see his injuries. They did notice that his fingers and his toes were starting to turn a different color, and they were getting dark, which had showed that the body had been there for a while, and he started to begin to mummify. They noticed in the bathroom that there was a lot of blood on the mirror in the sink. There was blood everywhere, and even there was a palm print on the wall as well. It literally was a palm print. They removed Travis's body for further investigation, and they take some hair samples that they found, like, in the sink and stuff in the bathroom. So they're taking some hair samples, and they also had found a .25 caliber casing as well that they noticed, like, near the pool of blood. But they didn't find any weapons. The bedroom itself was partially cleaned up, like the bedding had been removed. Travis's body was in the shower, and also it looked like someone had rinsed him off as well. Like, maybe they were trying to clean him off, because the blood is an inside job. Like, someone was comfortable here, they were comfortable in the house, they knew this house, like, this is someone, close to Travis. So they were like, okay, maybe first suspect, roommates. They're like, how are these roommates living in this house for 5 days and you didn't smell that? You were just living with the stench. Like, you didn't think anything was wrong, like nothing, you just were living with this smell. They're like, well, I mean, we're guys. We thought maybe it was like clothes or dishes or something. We didn't think much of it. What I thought was strange about this comment in particular was like that they made a comment earlier, right? Investigators, that the house was really clean, which leads me to believe that there wouldn't be like a lot of dirty dishes and stuff. Like, there shouldn't be smells if the house is like pretty clean and orderly. That's just my thought process. Another thing that I think of is like, if they were smelling it, like the initial friends smelled it from the bottom floor. Like, I don't know, it's like when you smell it extremely by the bedroom and you don't think that that's weird. Like, I can't, I don't get that. It's me personally, but hey, detectives then find something super bizarre in the laundry room. Not even bizarre, it was like a crucial piece of evidence, to be honest. They find a digital camera mixed in with the towels in the washing machine. It had gone through the wash, but they're like, you know what? This camera has got to show crucial evidence. Like, we need to try to get whatever is in this camera out, and we hope and pray that we can get it, basically. Like, they're like, this could literally tell us who killed Travis and why they killed him. Like, they try to cover this up and they were like, no, we need this. So the memory card of the camera was not destroyed. So you'll find out the crazy things that were in this camera in a little bit. Like, oh my gosh, it was crazy. Oh gosh, this case is crazy. It's literally crazy. Anyways, I'm gonna keep going. Sorry. The roommates' alibis ended up checking out. They're off the table now. So they're like, who killed him? Who would kill Travis? Why did they kill him? Like, they were like, who could possibly want to do this in such a brutal way? Travis had been described as a young, handsome man who was successful. He had a lot of friends. He was very devout religiously and a great person. Travis had, though, a horrific childhood. His mother and father were both drug addicts. His mother would go on binges and leave him and his siblings without food. He had been beaten by his mother and neglected, but was later taken in by his grandmother at age 10, who was a Mormon, and that's when he had began introduced to the Mormon church. Travis later went on a mission for 2 years, a church mission, and he had found work with prepaid legal services, also called PPL. So I'll be kind of referencing it as PPL, but it was his place of work. Travis was a rising star at his job. He was really a great salesperson, but not only that, he was just a great motivational speaker. So he inspired people to reach for the stars, just as he had with himself. And through his job, he made a really good, loyal group of friends. In 2004, he relocated to Mesa, Arizona, which had a huge Mormon following. Not long after the murder of Travis, Jodi had reached out to detectives directly. She wanted to offer any assistance, and she told them, what she heard, and explained that she had started dating Travis back in 2007, where they had dated about 6 months and they remained friends afterwards. She told him that she was living in Mesa until April of 2008, where she then moved to Northern California, situation, they started talking to people that knew Travis, and one of those people were Chris and Sky Hughes, which were Travis's role models, and Chris is who Travis had worked with. And they were asked by detectives if they had any suspicion on who would kill Travis, and they both said Jodi Arias. Now, according to Jodi, the relationship ended because she broke it off, but according to Travis's friends, Travis had actually broke it off because he saw craziness in her. Initially, his friends had liked Jodi, but their relationship was very love and hate, and they really stopped liking her vibe. They were like, I don't like this girl anymore, actually changed my mind. In 2006, Jodi was living in Southern California with another boyfriend, where she began having financial issues. She ended up learning about PPL. Sorry about that. I just drank a lot of water and I don't know what happened, but something happened in my throat. So, she went to a PPL convention in Vegas with her friends. Now, since Travis was an executive, I believe he got 2 tickets and he was single. So his friends were like, hey, you know what? We just recruited a really hot babe and you should probably take her with you because she's a really hot babe, and why wouldn't you want a really hot babe with you? They didn't actually say that, but makes the story sound better. No, but like, they're basically like, hey, she's a pretty girl. You should take her. They both had found each other irresistible. Now, backstory on Jodi is she grew up in a stable home in Eureka, California. She was quiet, a good student. She was pretty and artistic. And from the time she was a young teenager, she always had a boyfriend. She was basically a serial dater. How do people do that? How do you find just like boyfriend? I don't get that. But she did. So, even though she did have a boyfriend, she fell for Travis, and within a couple days of returning home, she broke up with her boyfriend. She said, yes, so I found the love of my life, and it's not you, boo. She also didn't say that. She didn't say that either. Yeah, so she didn't say that, but she was thinking it. She was like, yeah, it's not you, boo. Now, Jodi was not a Mormon, but that was kind of a big deal for Travis. Like, he wanted a woman who was a Mormon. And within 2 months of dating Travis, Jodi had decided to become a Mormon. Travis had ended up being her sponsor. In February of 2007, they made their relationship official and started dating long distance. Their relationship ended up ending in June of 2007. Now, normally, when you break up with someone, you want to be as far away from them as possible, right? Yeah, no. So Jodi decided, she said, you know what? I think I'm gonna move next time. She didn't actually move next time, but she was like, I'm gonna move to a city, basically. And so she moved closer to Travis after they broke up. She wanted to get more involved in the Mormon faith. Travis was telling people he wanted her out of his life, but yet was continuing a sexual relationship with her. Jodi told detectives that Travis did not love her the same way that she did, and felt that he was seeing a lot of other women, to which she didn't want to be a part of that. So in April of 2008, she went to Eureka, California to live with her grandparents to start a new life. Travis felt that he would get back in good standings with the church if Jodi wasn't around him. So that's kind of also why he wanted her out of his life, because he wanted to be a better man in the Mormon faith, in the Mormon church. According to Jodi, she left Northern California on June 2nd, then headed to Southern California to meet with friends, then arrived to Salt Lake City on June 5th, which was a day after Travis was murdered. Detective had called Ryan Burns, which was a guy that Jodi was meeting up with in Utah, to confirm her story. she was not a blonde bombshell. Now she's a brunette, which also shady, okay? Brunettes can be bombshells too. He also said, though, which was pretty, like, suspicious, was that she had cuts on her fingers from bartending. That was her job back in California, from bartending. So it had seemed to detectives that Jodi was not at the crime scene. On June 14th of 2008, in Mesa, Arizona, the detective was traveling to Eureka, California. He thinks that Jodi's been lying to him for several weeks, so he kind of wanted to go to her in person for his statement. Jodi was actually offering a lot of information, and she never questioned why she was there, which did seem odd to detectives. While Jodi was explaining her road trip to Utah, she explains where she stops, how long she sleeps, and detective started realizing, like, there's a gap in time of around 18 hours. To which he's like, during this time was the time that Travis was killed. He realizes that she could have went down from where she was, traveled to Arizona, murder Travis, and go up to Utah and still make it for 11 a.m. on June 5th. She's like, well, no, I was not at Travis's house. She's like, I didn't go to Travis's house. The detective is like, well, your blood and hair are at the crime scene, honey, so I'm pretty sure you were there. And also your palm print and blood is on the wall. So now how they found that these were hers was because originally they were asking friends and people around Travis to provide samples, and she was one of the people that had offered up her samples. So why would you do that if you are the murderer? Like, I don't get that. Like, I don't know if she thought she was too smart, but like, girl, why would you do that? She explains that her hair was everywhere in the house, and so she's like, well, yeah, I mean, my hair's everywhere. You can go through this house and find a lot more of my hair. Like, of course it's in this house. She's like, I didn't hurt Travis. So after weeks, they were able to recover the images on the camera from the washing machine. These images were body shots of Travis in the shower. There's even photos of Jodi prior to the shower, like super inappropriate photos. So when the detective shows her these pictures, she's like, that looks like me. He's like, it is you. Like, which is kind of similar to one of our previous true crime stories, like someone pretending like, oh, that looks like me. It's like, because it is. It's you, girl. It's you. So there's also photos of Travis on the bed with lubricant next to him, and there was another photo of Jodi's pants and foot, and there was in the photo there was also like a pool of blood and like Travis or something in that same photo. She's like, yeah, well, that's not my foot. He's like, it is your foot. Like, and detectives had no doubt in their mind that she did this. She kept saying she did not do it, and he couldn't get anything out of her to confess, and so he read her rights and he arrested her for the murder of Travis. Now, when Jodi was arrested, her behavior began to be extremely bizarre, like super bizarre. She also, like, before her mugshot, she was like, hey, so before I get my picture taken, can I like clean myself up a little bit? He's like, no, you can't. And she was like really sad about that. She wanted to fix her hair and like, you know, fix herself up before her picture. He's like, girl, this isn't a photo shoot. You're arrested for murder, girl. sleeps. She's completely like fine. Like she's not sad at all. You even hear her like chuckling to herself. It was actually a little creepy. She starts chuckling to herself, talking to herself, like it was weird. And then Jodi, like before her mugshot, right, she like fixes her hair. She's like, and she smiles. She's faced like this. Not literally, but like that's what I'm envisioning. But yeah, she like fixed her hair and smiled, and that was also like going viral basically because they're like, what the heck? The next day, Jodi's interrogation had continued, but this time they switched things up and they gave her a woman detective to start interrogating her. Jodi was not having it. She shut down completely. She wasn't interacting with the detective at all. So the detective was like, do you want me to get the other guy from yesterday? And she was like, yes, I do. So the other guy comes back and she starts opening up to this guy. She tells him that she arrived at Travis's house around 3 a.m. Then they had, sexual activities in the afternoon. After 2 days of questioning, then she finally started talking even more. She explained that she was taking pictures of Travis while he was showering when she was interrupted. She said she turned around. There was two people there. There was two people in the house with them. One girl and one guy. They were wearing ski masks and they were the ones that killed Travis, not her. No, it's those two people. She's like, I ran into the closet and the intruder held a gun to my head and told me not to go anywhere. Then he was like, the intruder, the guy that holding the gun to her head was like to the other girl, he was like, go and finish it. So she said that there was like a struggle between then the girl and her, and she was so scared because she doesn't bite, and the girl had a knife, so she was like holding the girl's hands to try to like help, so she wouldn't get hurt, right? She then says that her assailant relents, right? This person attacking her relents because them two now, the people, the intruders, start getting in a fight over if they should or shouldn't kill Jodi. And they decided they weren't gonna kill her. They're like, nah, we don't need to kill her. That's not what we're here for. We're not gonna kill her. She's fine, right? But the guy was like, yeah, well, I don't want to kill Jodi. Like, we're not gonna kill her. And because that's not what they were there for, Jodi said that was how she got the cut on her hand. I guess she had like a cut on her hand, and that's how she got it from like fighting back, right? She then explained that the intruder guy, had found her registration out of her wallet and was saying, oh, you're that B from California, like, oh, this is you. He's like waving her registration around, like, yeah, if you ever say anything, I'm gonna do the same thing to you and your family because I have your address now, like, I know where you live. She escaped after that and she went super fast to Utah. She didn't tell anybody and she didn't call the police because she was super scared. Detectives are like, you think I'm dumb enough to believe the story? They didn't actually say that again, okay? I gotta clarify, they didn't actually say that, but they were like, this is the most outrageous story I've ever heard in my life. Like, Jodi's parents got questioned as well during this time, and they described that they have had a tumultuous relationship with her growing up. As she was growing up, Jodi didn't really like rules that they would give her. She kind of was starting to rebel as an early teen, like smoking weed and stuff, so they would like give her curfews and she didn't like any of that. There ended up being like other things, and Jodi had kind of stopped talking to her parents, but her dad was saying that Jodi had randomly came over one day and she was like, so I can't tell you guys, but I need to leave because I may get blamed for something. And they're like, well, what? And she's like, I can't tell you guys, I just have to go. The arrest of Jodi was was gaining national attention. Her mugshot was described as one for the history books. Like I said, like, she really was like smiling, doing her thing. Also, it kind of like was for the history books because she was a beautiful woman and she was facing the death penalty, which got a lot of people talking about this. Jodi ended up going on Inside Edition to tell her story. She told the story of the two people taking Travis's life and that she was innocent. She came across as a soft-spoken, sweet girl who could never do this, right? Like, they were like, there's no way this sweet, beautiful girl did this horrible thing. People felt like she had felt, Jodi herself had felt, that she could flirt her way through the trial. She was always like fixing her hair and her makeup for like the interviews too that she would do on TV. Like, you would like literally see like the cameras would still be rolling and she's like dabbing her face up with like powder and stuff. She was really like, she was kind of living for the cameras, I think. Defense had said that Jodi would call him every single day, like her defense attorney. He was like, this is super highly unusual. Like, she would call me every single day. She even was like demanding like crazy things. She was like, hey, so can you go and like check on my cat? He's like, what? Like, oh, it's a weird demand. In June of 2010, Jodi abandons the story of this masked intruder situation because no one's buying it. They're like, this is bad. Like, no one's gonna believe this. Like, I don't know where you thought of this, but it's not good. So maybe let's get to the truth. Let's start there, actually. So she's now saying like she was actually at Travis's house. She did kill him, but like it was self-defense. So now it's like self-defense. On June 2nd of 2013, the trial began. The prosecutor was trying to pinpoint a motive of revenge. He said that police were able to find that on May 28th of 2008 at 9:25 p.m., Jodi was sending an email to Travis, and she had mentioned that he was going to Cancun. Travis was going to Cancun with Mimi Hall, and Jodi had known about this, so they felt like she was punishing him for not taking her. That was kind of like what they were trying to go with at first. Prosecutor then describes on June 4th of 2008 that Travis is in the shower. You know, he's comfortable, his defenses are down, and as he sat there, she had stabbed him in the chest. He struggled, grabbed the knife, but she still got the gun and put a bullet in his temple. Defense explained that on the outside looking in, yes, they did appear to be in a happy and loving relationship, but there was actually a whole nother reality to this relationship. Jodi was Travis's dirty little secret. Dirty little secret. Remember that song? Dirty little secret. I actually don't remember the lyrics, but I'm thinking of them in my head. You guys know it? If you know that song, let me know in the comments. Let me know. I forget who was by Dirty Little Secrets, but you know, if you know, you know. But she was says a dirty little secret, dirty little secret, dirty little. Anyways, back to business. Travis was pushing Jodi to have a sexual relationship with him, but still appeared to the outside that he was looking for like a traditional Mormon woman. They explained that Travis had abused her, and on June 4th, there was no other option for Jodi. Jodi was taking pictures of Travis. The camera had dropped, and he flees into a rage and attacks her, and she thinks she's gonna die, so she needed to kill him in self-defense. That was what the defense was trying to go for, right? Prosecutors like, Mimi, come to the stand, right? Mimi, let's bring her up. Travis had told Mimi about this stalker who had slashed his tires several times, who had hacked his email accounts, bank accounts, snuck into his house through a doggy door and like slept on his couch without him knowing. Like, the stalker was really the stalker sounds like Jodi. Now, I don't know if this was confirmed or not on who this stalker was, but it sounds a lot like oh girl, okay? Now, the autopsy report was horrendous, okay? Travis had been stabbed 27 times. 27 times. Like, let that sink in. 27 times. He was stabbed, really everywhere on his body. One was like the back of the head. His throat was cut from ear to ear. They also concluded that the brain was shot with the gunshot. Originally, Jodi had said that she stabbed him after she shot him because he was still trying to attack her. But that would be nearly impossible because the gunshot went through his brain. Like, it literally was like right here, like in the temple area. So the only way it would go is like to his brain. Defense was trying to say, like, because there was no medical evidence, because the brain was already decomposing or something by the time they got his body, they couldn't actually see the bullet go through the brain in the same, whatever. They couldn't actually, but they were like, there's no other way that where else it would have gone. It went through, like, but obviously as a defense they were like, well, your theory is flawed because there's no medical evidence, so that's not true. She stabbed him after she shot him, which is like, no, that didn't happen, but whatever, in my opinion. A police officer in Eureka was called to the stand as well, as something super strange happened on May 28th of 2008 in Eureka, California. Now that was like a couple weeks prior to the murder. Not even a couple weeks, like he was murdered, June 4th? This was May 28th. The home of Caroline Allen was burglarized, and so he was the officer that had arrived to the scene. Now, there was a couple things that were stolen. It was like a DVD player, a CD player, a small amount of cash, and a .25 caliber gun. As the police are taking notes of the burglary, they hear a car pull up, and who comes out of the car? Jodi Arias, their granddaughter. Now, if you remember, Jodi moved back to her grandparents' house. Yeah. So yeah, this burglary was 1 week prior to Travis's murder, and it was the same type of caliber gun of the gun that had shot Travis. Now, the gun was never found, but they still believe that this was all correlated. Daryl, Jodi's ex, the one that she had broke up with for Travis, had taken the stand and kind of humanized Jodi. He was saying she was super loving and caring, especially towards his son. But prosecution was starting to ask this guy some questions. They were like, did Jodi go to your house on June 3rd, 2008, right before her trip? He's like, yeah. They're like, okay, well, did you give her 2 gas cans? He's like, yeah. Now, this was strange, right? Because why do you need gas cans, 2 gas cans? When you're traveling through California, as there's gas stations everywhere, literally everywhere. I think this is kind of weird. They did find in the investigation, Jodi had like this shoebox, and it was filled with all of her receipts, and there was all of the receipts from the travels as well. So they found all of the receipts from California, all her travels, right? Nothing from Arizona. Not a single receipt. And they believed that she had used the gas cans to fill it up with gas so that she can travel from Southern California through Arizona with no trace that she was ever there. And this was because they believed that she was planning the murder all along, and so that she didn't want anything to trace her back to the place where Travis was killed. Defense, though, had called Travis's ex to the stand, which was Lisa Andrews, to try to show that Travis had a lot of sexual desires, as she had sent him, Lisa had sent him an email prior explaining some of the sexual things that she didn't like about him. footage for YouTube, but you can look into that. She did discuss, Lisa, on the stand, that Travis was cheating on her with Jodi as well, but prosecution was not having this because defense was trying to like prove Jodi's point that he was like kind of like very sexual of a guy, and prosecution was like, no, let's get to what this email was actually about. Now, Lisa was a very Mormon woman. She didn't engage in any sexual thing. She was a little bit, I don't know if this is the right word, but like kind of naive. She didn't really know kind of all about sexual stuff, especially sexual activities. So one day her and Travis had been kissing, and while they were kissing, his area began to spread its wings, as some may say. Yes, that's appropriate. You know, if you know, you know, okay? It began to spread its wings. Now, he didn't try to push her towards anything. He didn't touch down there. He didn't make her touch down there. Like, nothing. It's just like a natural biological response to kissing a girl he's attracted to, right? And so, prosecution's like, do you feel like you are kind of wrong to accuse him of all these things in the email that you were initially saying? And she was like, yes. He's like, okay, well, were you mainly upset because when you started to kiss him, things started beginning to happen that you felt that he was able to control? And she was like, yes. So it kind of just proved like Lisa believed that he was able to control that thing, the wings beginning to fly, or whatever I said before. Yeah, he couldn't, you can't do that. You know, I'm sorry, Lisa girl, but the wings fly when they want to fly, I guess. I actually don't know, I'm not a boy, but I'm pretty positive. I think I learned that in health class. On February 4th of 2013, Jodi ends up taking the stand. She says that she did kill Travis because he had attacked her and she defended herself. She said that after her baptism, they went back to his house and he started doing, how do I word this in an appropriate way? He started doing butt stuff. But sexual activity with the butt. This is so awkward. Oh god, I'm just telling the story. Okay, I'm just the person telling the story. Okay, this is a little weird, but we're all adults here. He started doing that with her, and now she said she didn't necessarily want it, but she didn't stop him either, so kind of teetering on the line that he was R-ing her. Yes, R. 4 letters, her, basically. They started pulling up very sexual texts and emails between Jodi and Travis, where she acted as though she didn't want to participate in these acts. So like on the stand, she was acting like, you know, she didn't want to. But when I was reading it, like when I saw some of the text or whatever, in my opinion, I think it was kind of like sexting kind of vibes, like certain like little fetishes and kinks and things like that. It was giving that to me. Now, like I said, she said she didn't want it, so she also describes the words that he would use against her, one being a 3-hole wonder. That's what he would call her. There was definitely clear emotional abuse between them, like the both of them. Then defense was also saying that Jodi had walked in on him getting off on child porn. So now they're trying to like accuse him of being a big pedophile creep. Jodi had said that she believed he had an interest in young boys, and basically, like I said, was accusing him of being a pedophile. Jodi said on January 22nd, she went over to Travis's house where he asked her for $200, but she didn't have it, so he body slammed her to the ground, and he so she was holding up her finger, and it's like kind of like always is like bent like almost in a similar fashion to like this, but it's like stuck up. If I find a picture, I'll post it. But her finger was kind of like always like a little bit above, like if she holds it straight, like this part would be like sticking up, so it was always like crooked almost and bent. Defense had also played an audio tape that was really inappropriate, and an inappropriate one, kind of like the ones you find on a hub. Imagine listening to a hub video, but yes, now it's playing in a courtroom, basically, is what this was. Now, this was recorded weeks before the killing of Travis. This was oddly found by one of her family members in a phone, I believe, and it was given over to defense to use as evidence. In it, you hear him say, "It sounds like a 12-year-old girl having her first O." Like I also said, if you know what O means, you are an adult, so yes. And in the video, though, she asks him, "What did you say?" To which he repeats it again. And this kind of had portrayed Travis as being the pervert she was saying, the abuser, all of those things, like, kind of had proved this. But also, people were saying that this could have potentially been staged, right? Because these two seem to have had a lot of, like, kind of fetish, kind of, like, kinky sexual relations. And because this was 2 weeks before, it was, like, recorded, just like an audio recording. They just felt like it was kind of weird. They're like, well, this was recorded 2 weeks before. It really proved, like, ew. Who even said, like, that's disgusting. Like, 12-year-old girl, why are you thinking of a 12-year-old girl right now? Like, that's disgusting. Yeah, so it, like, kind of was proving, like, he is kind of a creep, or has, like, creep-like thoughts. I kind of still believe, like, Jodi kind of had set him up, maybe, and she was gonna have this as evidence if she needed it. They just weren't so certain that this was, like, not, like, some ulterior motive kind of weird thing, but anyways, it did prove that Travis was a perv. Jodi also explained that she was taking pictures of Travis in the shower. When the camera had slipped from her hand, Travis slipped out. He stepped out of the shower, body slammed her on the floor. She ran into the closet, slammed the door. She had found the gun, like she kind of knew where the gun was, so she had found the gun. She grabbed it as he kept chasing her, like, through other doors. She felt like he was gonna kill her. And since he had almost, like, kind of, like, I don't know if she said he almost had killed her before, or she felt he was gonna kill her before, she really believed it now. And so she pointed the gun at him with both hands, but he kept lunging at her. So she said she shot the gun, but she didn't even, like, realize she had shot him. She just, like, did, and they just had kept wrestling in that time, and he said, "I'll kill you, B.I." Yeah. And then she was saying, basically on the stand, that she blacked everything else out, like, everything else out. She doesn't remember anything. She has no memory of stabbing him. She has no memory of dragging him across the floor. She has no memory of slitting his throat. She has no memory of any of that. All she knows is, like, all of that was so traumatic that she just blacked it out. And so she's like, yeah, I don't remember anything else, but I do remember this part. And that's really all they got with her, was that on the stand. And now she very well could have forgotten it all, because the things she did to that man are so horrible, like horrific. So she could have actually blacked it out. I have no idea. Jodi did, though, keep a really detailed journal. And in the journal, she writes, like, good thing no one can see this, because, like, I love Travis Alexander so much. And, you know, she's just, like, writing about Travis in it. But in nowhere in this journal, like, does she ever talk about Travis hitting her, or Travis, like, being a pedophile, or anything bad about Travis. She's like, well, because I believe in law of attraction. So obviously I'm not gonna write anything negative in my journal. If you write negative things, it's just gonna whatever. And honestly, she's not wrong for that. Like, the law of attraction is real, so she could very well, like, that could very well be true. Because if her journal was all positive things, then that could very well be true. Because obviously there's negative things that happen in life to everybody at all points, of time. And so there would have been something. So if that is true, there was nothing in her journal that was negative. I mean, maybe she's not lying about that. Prosecutor, though, showed her a picture of, remember how she said she had her finger by Travis? The prosecution showed a picture of her in like April, I believe, with her sister. I'm almost positive. And she had her hand over her sister's or whoever it was shoulder, and her finger was completely fine. Like, it wasn't, nothing was wrong with it. She's like, well, no, my finger is bent there. And the prosecution's like, it's not, but whatever. And prosecution believes that that happened to her finger when she had stabbed Travis. As closing arguments, prosecution had the courtroom sit in silence for 2 whole minutes to show how long it took Jodi to attack and kill Travis. Defense's closing statement was basically explaining what the case is not about. He wanted jurors to go back to the evidence and about basically how she defended herself. Jodi was convicted of first-degree murder. Soon after the verdict was read, Jodi gave an interview with Fox, which is also really like not common. No, yeah, she said, let me get back on camera. She's like, I'm ready for camera. Who wants to interview me? Yeah, no, she went on a local, I think it was like a local Fox station. She said, rather get death than life, and that still is true today. I believe death is the ultimate freedom, so I'd rather just have my freedom as soon as I can get it. Now that Jodi was facing life or death, Jodi was giving her speech to the jury, and she pulls out her t-shirt and she's like, hey guys, so I have this t-shirt that says survivor on it, and she's like, all the proceeds are going to go to the victims of domestic violence so I can help people with similar situations to me. Also really bizarre, like, people just felt like it was just like what, I don't know, it's just like people were just caught off guard by that. It ended up being that 8 jurors voted for death and 4 voted for life, so the judge had no choice but to declare a mistrial. A year and a half later, every single person returned, all the same defense attorneys, prosecution, like judge, like everybody returned, but the only difference was a new jury. Now they had another mistrial because there was 11 people now that had voted for death and 1 voted for life. Now in Arizona, they only give 2 chances to get someone, like the death penalty, and there was no more chances. Like, she just automatically kind of got life, and they needed a unanimous vote, to give her the death penalty, so they couldn't receive that. On April 13th of 2015, Jodi was sentenced to life in prison with no life of parole. What an intense case that was. It's a lot. It's a lot for a case. What do you all think of this? Do you think that she should have gotten the death penalty? I can't believe she had 2 mistrials. Like, how crazy, like literally how crazy. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts. Thank you again so much. Shout out to all you guys, all your comments, your love, your likes, your support. Like, I appreciate you guys so much. You freaking rock my socks. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you all in my next true crime.